All right, family. Welcome to Liberia Shall Rise. This is your host, Dr. Positive, here with my own pastor in the community here, Reverend Dr. Manyango. We're going to be talking about confidentiality in the church. And this is a very important topic. And we all live in our communities. We go to church. What happened in the church is how can we make the church the place for people to be safe, for their secrets to be safe. So the word confidentiality says keeping a secret. In Liberian term, we'll say minding somebody business or keeping somebody business, right? So this is what we're going to be discussing. And over time, we have heard people left churches because of this reason. And some people don't even know, even there are some situation where somebody wants somebody to confide into, but they don't have nobody to confide into. So they are pastors, they are church members, and leaders in the church are folks that they then go to rely on. And we find that sometimes the messages get spread out around the community, and this is causing a lot of problem in our community. So I have one of our pastors here, Reverend Dr. Rev Manyango, who have agreed to come and talk on here to discuss this with me. It's an interesting topic, and I think all of us will find some information that we can learn from today. Because even as a pastor, there's a burden. There's a lot of burdens that they bear. You know, holding somebody's secret. Sometimes when I was doing my research, I found out there's good secret and there's bad secret. If the secret is too heavy for you as a pastor, what do you do? Right? So this is what we're going to find out. Again, I don't want to talk too much. I'm going to bring my pastor on, and then he will just run us into the topic. So let me not waste no time and bring him on. He's the celebrator here today. I'm just the host. I'm just going to be asking these simple questions. But please join me with a round of applause. Let's welcome Reverend Dr. Wilfred Mayango. So, all right. Good morning. I said good morning. Good morning, somewhere. See, I'm nervous already. I've been doing it.
Okay.
But when you get somebody big coming on, it's not easy. So I'm a little nervous, but Reverend Dr. Mayango, welcome to Liberia Shall Rise. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Brother Stephen, Dr. Positive. It's a wonderful thing to be on your show. It's a delight and an honor. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to ask you the simple question first before you introduce yourself. That qualifies you to kind of participate on this show. Maybe kind of find out from people that you are really, really a Liberian before we can continue the show. So be careful, because with the wrong answer here, the whole show will end in the 1 minute. So now, all right. Imagine this,
hmm
Reverend.
Yes, sir.
We have a community event coming.
hmm
All the churches are gathering. The Liberian churches are gathering. This is big. All the pastors in the community, everybody coming together, and you happen to be the guest preacher, right? And
hmm
it says, since you are the guest preacher, we have different people from different nationalities coming, from
hmm
different countries coming to this church, right? This church event. And they say, pick your favorite food. What would that food be? Now you got to be careful, because this is going to be like, it's going to tell everybody that Liberian have one of the best and juicy food. So I want to know what your favorite food will be for that occasion, so that when people leave from that occasion, even after hearing all the preaching, they will just remember that one food that Reverend my favorite food. What would that be? Hmm.
Well, my favorite food is beans tabagi.
Hmm. When I were being stubborn, can you describe it a little bit for somebody who don't know beans toboggan? Somebody watching, let them understand what you mean when you say beans toboggan.
Okay. It's basically kidney beans.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you can boil the hard one, or you can just use the one already in the can, and you basically cook the kidney beans, and you can mix it up with meat, with chicken, with fish, and then you can also mix tabagi oil, is oil and the beans, and then back home people will add soda, bicarbonate soda, and then that's beans tabagi right there. Beautiful, juicy. I've been liking it from the time I was born.
Wow. Interestingly, I've been asking I asked somebody last week to make me
Hmm.
sabagay. So now the way I know that your favorite food, I think I need to find my way to Dallas. Maybe it will be somewhere near the church, somewhere around there, so I can just get my taste of it. So I know the first lady cook it all the time for you. So,
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. Definitely. I mean, yeah, whenever if you want to taste it, let us know ahead of time. We can prepare a little dish for you so you can taste it. But it's very delicious.
okay, all right. So now that I know, now you now qualified to be a Liberian. The way you describe that being Sobogi make me to
Hmm.
understand that you are really, really a Liberian. Even though your name, everything says you are a Liberian. I just want to know now, though, who is Reverend Dr. Wilfred Mayango? What will people say about you? Who is Reverend Mayango?
Okay. My name is Pastor Manyango. I'm a Liberian. I'm also an American, married uh, for the past 25 years. This year, one wife. We have three adult children. I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I pastor a church in Dallas, Covenant Community Fellowship. I also am a professional counselor supervisor in the state of Texas. No, and that qualifies me to not only counsel, but also supervise counselors. I have a full-time job. I work at an area hospital as a professional counselor. Yeah, I love reading. I love listening to music. I love making new friends. I love life, really.
All right. Well, thank you for answering that question. I think, and congratulations on 25 year, on long time. I would just say long time being married. That's very impressive, and I think we need more of that. So, I just want to ask you though. What motivated you to take on the burden or to decide to take on the burdens of order, the heavy load, to carry our load, like the song say, you will carry
Mhm,
my load?
mhm.
What made you to kind of decide that you wanted to be in the ministry, you wanted to be a pastor? What made you to want to carry our load?
Okay. Well, it's a calling. Um, about maybe so it was 1991, I want to say, after the war in Liberia. Uh, I became a believer in Christ. I felt a call, or the call into Christian ministry to serve God. Uh, when you talk about what made you decide to, I want to say it was not my choice. It wasn't a choice of mine. And what do I mean by that is this: when God calls you, you have no choice. It's a privilege, it's an honor to serve with God. It's a blessing. And so I see as an honor that God will look at me from nowhere and decide to call me into His service. So it's an honor, it's a blessing. So the moment I felt the call, I discussed with my pastor. He confirmed, yes, Wilfred, I see the call in your life, and then the rest is history. Went to biblical training, got involved in ministry, and here I am. So it's a privilege. I mean, it has its high and lows, but either way, I see it as a privilege, as an honor to be able to partner with God to serve His people. So it's not like so much about me making any choice. You could say yes, I could have chosen not to, but hey,
Mhm.
who would pass on this privilege of serving with God, of being called a servant of God? Of the Most High God. So it's a privilege and honor to really be
Mhm.
called a servant of the Most High God. So uh, I'm blessed to be in ministry.
All right. Again, Reverend, I want to thank you first of all on behalf of the Liberian community and on behalf of the fans of Liberia Shall Rise for coming on our platform. It's seldom that somebody of your stature will agree to come on here. So I just want to thank you. And to be honest, I would say you are one of the first, I would say, male pastors that have come on our show. In our from our community here. So I want to thank you for taking the opportunity for granting us the opportunity to interview you today to talk about our community. Uh, yeah. So with that said, though, again, I want to say thank you and thanks for coming on. When we talk about confidentiality, and let me put it a simple way to our people, we call it secret, right?
Mhm.
What would you say is secret or confidentiality in the based on your theological training that you got? What would you say is confidentiality?
Well, confidentiality is basically protecting the privacy of an information shared with you. Uh, Someone comes to you and shares something private, shares something very intimate, shares something very, very, serious, and so they expect you to keep it confidential. That means that you respect and you decide to uphold the privacy of that information that was shared with you. Basically, in Liberian language, keep it secret. Keep the person secret. Don't let anybody know. That's how I would see it. Uh, Now, when you talk about theological sense, the Bible doesn't really talk a lot about that keeping secret. It talks about being confidential, in terms of uh, making sure that you are slow to speak, quick to hear, slow to become angry. Because a lot of times, people who share people's information are those who talk a lot, and then find themselves saying things that they're not supposed to say. So if you're someone who, you are not talking too much, it can help a whole lot. And Proverbs also talks about how whenever there are too many words, sin is not absent. So I think it's
Mm,
very, very important for us to be very careful. That's
mm-hmm,
been my experience. People who have shared confidential information are those who want to talk too much. Because the more you keep talking, if you're not careful, you can slip something in there that is not supposed to be said. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
and then before you know it, it's already gone.
mm,
Yeah, so be very mindful on what you say. I heard this from the former U.S. President, Bill Clinton, one of my
mm-hmm,
favorites. One of my favorites. He said, "Don't you ever volunteer information.
mm,
If a question wasn't asked you, don't answer it. Because a lot of times we volunteer information. What does that mean? When people are talking to us, they might not even ask the question and we provide the answer. You know.
mm,
So don't ever volunteer information. If a question wasn't asked of you, don't address it. Whatever a question was asked, address it. Whatever information is wanted for you, address it directly and keep quiet. It's okay to say nothing. But sometimes we feel the need to say something. It's okay to say nothing. It's better to say nothing than to say something that will lead you into trouble.
mm. Great, great, great. Thank you for that. So, this other question is concerning our leaders in the church, right? Everybody rely on the church leaders and things. So, this is one question I thought I should ask. How do our leaders in the church, not just the pastor, because when
Mhm,
you talk about church leader, everybody says just the pastor. So, how do leaders in the church equip themselves to become the epitome of trust? That is, when I say something to you, it should stay confidential, like a legal document we have
mhm,
signed. I say, once I say that to you, it's protected, and I can walk away knowing that that information will
mhm,
never be shared with somebody else. How can leaders make themselves to be, I would say, trustworthy or the epitome of trust?
mhm. That's a great question. I think it starts with the leader, okay, the pastor of the church. I think you can set the stage. 'Cause everything flows from you. I think uh, if you as a pastor, if you as the pastor, you know, understand the importance of confidentiality and you are actually practicing it, that can also flow to your leaders. But I'll also add this too. I think that should also be part of the requirement for leadership. I think when you're doing leadership training, it's important to emphasize that hey, as leaders, it's important that we keep information confidential because sometimes, some members in the men's ministry or women ministry might not want to come to talk to the pastor about a situation. They might say, you know what, let me just talk to my men's president about this. You know, keep it confidential. So I think it's important that I set the example as a pastor and doing training, especially when you select new leaders. That should be part of the curriculum for that training. It's more than just, telling them about the Bible, about different stuff. But there are also issues about confidentiality that's very important that you share with them and let them know that these are expectations as a leader. You're expected to keep people's information confidential. You're expected to attend meetings. You're expected to do this. That's all part of the expectations that you will require your leaders to follow. And remind them that if these expectations are not kept, there will be consequences. If a leader breaks confidentiality, then you need to have a talk with that leader and see what happened, what needs to be done. So I think
Mhm.
it's important that that be a part of the curriculum. I know for us, as a church, that's one of the things we talk about.
Mhm.
When I select new leaders, that's part of the curriculum. Your role as a leader, these are things that the church expects from you as a leader. Because what happens is, Stephen, if you do not have these expectations, how can you hold someone accountable if the person doesn't know what you expect of them? If you
Mhm.
go, if you're working out there, at a job, when you go for orientation, what they do is they lay out the expectations of you. Report to work at 8 o'clock, leave at 4, till lunch at 12. Now, if they never told you that and you
Mhm.
reported to work at 10 o'clock, how can they hold you accountable? They never told you what time to come to work. You chose
Mhm.
10 o'clock. You see what I'm saying? So if people in the work can do it, how about us in the church? I know
Mhm.
for me as a professional counselor, that's part of my ethics. Very important. The organizations I belong to, confidentiality is very important. I could lose my license
Mhm.
in the state if I do not keep someone information private. So I take that very serious. And with the church, God's people, I take it serious too. So I practice it, and I also spread it out to my leaders too.
Mm, thank you. Thank you. So now we've been, when we started the show, we've been talking about leaders, leaders, leaders. Let's come to us, the member, the everyday members now. That's where the trouble can come from.
I
So
know.
you, yeah, you talk about the training of leaders. You're talking
Hmm.
about people, um, and the members in the congregation at times take
Hmm.
on role. They may not be appointed as a
Hmm.
leader, but just even the what you call the person. Uh, the usher chair,
Hmm. Hmm.
that's a leadership role,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
So and you rarely stated it that sometimes, because when I'm closer to you, I
Hmm.
feel more confident to share things with you.
Yeah.
So now, how do we teach the members to also cultivate a spirit of confidentiality, wherein that when I tell my choir director, or I tell the leader of the usher something, that that person keeps it confidential until I decide to spread it into anyone else. How do we do that also to make sure that people can go to church knowing that, oh, I'm in a safe place?
Hmm. Well, I see it in one of two ways, Stephen. Number one, that could be part of the broader preaching and teaching in the church, Bible study, sermon on Sunday morning. You can find a way to incorporate that in the message about how it's important for us to keep information that people share with us. And then members will hear it. The Bible study will also be great. You can use that time to be able to talk about the importance of maintaining confidentiality. And so I think you can, do it in that area, and that will really, really help, during the preaching, or during the Bible study teaching. But I'm glad you brought that out too, concerning the members too, because sometimes it's not just the leaders that can break confidentiality; even the members too can do it. Sometimes the members, will, hear things or might be very close to a leader, men or women, or an elder in the church, and maybe that member leaves the church, and then before you know it, that member starts to share things about that leader out there, because they fell out, and then begin to, slander or say things about the person's family, person's children, person's job that was shared with them in confidence, and that's not a good thing. Yeah, so I think, as a leader, as a pastor, it starts with you, it goes to the leadership, and it can go also to the members, where you can, incorporate on your messages on Sunday mornings, or you can even talk about that even doing Bible study. I mean, always find ways to be able to share important things that are very helpful, to the growth, stability, and health of the church.
So again, thank you so much, Pastor. And you said something I just want to piggyback on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's also crucial, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when somebody is part of a team, everybody are friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I
Mm-hmm.
said something the last time concerning a show that I was having,
Mm-hmm.
right? I said,
Mm-hmm.
what happened when love go blind,
Mm-hmm.
right? What
Mm-hmm.
happens when love goes blind? So when the person is in the church, they
Mm-hmm.
are 100% in love with everybody, the
Mm-hmm.
pastor, the something. But then when something happens,
Mm-hmm.
then that person now turn around. Everything that was told to them in confidentiality becomes something that they now take as their key to move
Mm-hmm.
on to another community.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question here for that is, where does confidentiality end and what are the legal consequences? I know we church, we don't like to talk about legal, but
Mm-hmm.
what are the
Mm-hmm.
legal consequences if somebody was told something in confidence, right, in
Mm-hmm.
secret,
Mm-hmm.
and this person have now left the church and they decide to break that confidence? What happens? Or
Okay.
even why they, like let's look at it too, why they are in the church and
Uh-huh.
why they are not in the church. What
Yeah.
happens?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I probably am not qualified to address the legal, but just based on my just reading around and you know, uh, like I said, my license and working in areas where it was required of me to hold
Mm-hmm,
people's information confidential. I'll
mm-hmm,
give an example. When I work at a local institution, school, I handle student information. It was required of me to keep it confidential, very confidential. I could lose my job because of that. So I think usually, confidentiality will end when that person authorizes you, that person who, you know, confide in you, now releases you and say you're free to share this. I will give you an example. As a counselor, I'm a counselor, professional counselor, and if I were to meet with a the- with a lady let's say a gentleman as an example, and they sign a consent for us to talk. That consent means that whatever we discuss will be very confidential. So even if that person was married and their wife were to come to me and say, "Oh, Dr. Manyango, I heard you're talking to my husband, and I need to get know what you're talking about," I cannot share it under
mm-hmm,
no circumstances. I will tell them, "I'm sorry, I can't share that information with you. You know you're
mm-hmm,
married, I can't," except the spouse comes back and sign a release and say, "I release my information." It's almost like when you go to a doctor's office.
mm-hmm,
Before your information is shared with the gynecologist or with the podiatrist, you have to sign that release form for your doctor to share it. You know, now in the church, we don't have that release form, unfortunately.
mm-hmm,
So I would say that the person who told you the information should be the person to come back to you and say, "Sister, brother, you're free to share this information with anyone you want to." But until that person does that, that message, that information should be kept confidential and in secret, even to the grave. Don't release it under any circumstances. And I think, like you said, something very important here about how sometimes when we're in church, we're happy with everyone. And then when we fall out, now we take people's information and use it as a weapon against them. Oh, Brother Stephen, he's not all that. He pretends to be this. I know he does this. I know his secret. And then we use it against them. It's wrong.
mm-hmm,
It can be slander. There is a potential for legal ramification. Someone could sue you for defamation or for slander. So be
mm-hmm,
very, very, very careful what you say out there about someone that was confided in you. The person will come back and say, "You know what? The information I shared with her, when she shared it out there with people, and it affected my character. It made me lose my job. It made me whatever it is." The lawyers, the judges will decide that, but it has a potential of becoming something legal. So keep it secret. Even if we fall out, even if we had a big argument, a big quarrel, you left the church. If you knew something about me as your pastor that I share with you in confidence, please don't tell anybody out there. Keep
mm-hmm,
it. Yes. But sometimes, unfortunate, Stephen, is very unfortunate. People do that all the time. You know, that's why sometimes some pastors are very careful not to bring people close to them.
mm-hmm,
Because when they bring people close to them, and sometimes pastors are human beings. They might be going through a very difficult time in the church or at work, whatever, and they share with you, and then tomorrow something happens, you leave the church, keep it. Don't share it. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Again, thank you so much. I think definitely we need to come. I need to come for that beanstalk again so we can sit down and continue on this discussion a
That
little
would be
more.
nice, David. I'm here.
Yeah,
Let me know when.
I will. I definitely will. But this, I was thinking about this, right? And
Mm-hmm.
in asking my question, I just said, let me put myself in the case of a pastor for a
Mm-hmm.
minute,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The burden of holding a secret. I will ask two questions in one.
Mm-hmm.
How is the burden of holding a secret? And then have you found yourself in a situation in where a member tells you something and this is very personal but deep and you don't have the answer, but due to confidentiality, you don't want to seek answer somewhere else. What do you do in that situation? And how do you usually handle those kind of burdens as a
Okay.
pastor?
Well, the first part of the question is the burden of holding secret. I think it's part of the calling. I think it's not just on the pastors. I think people are that. I think you yourself too. People are sharing, share stuff with you too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice we make. You know, I could choose not to listen to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I could choose not to. If someone were to call me or come, Pastor, I want to talk to you. I want to share something with you. I could say, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't want to listen to that. I could choose to do it. But the fact that I agree for people to share stuff with me, is a choice that I've made, and I think it flows from my character as a helper. I want to help people, so I really don't see it as a burden. You know, I see it as an opportunity to be able to help someone who might be going through a very difficult, situation, to be able to come alongside them and help them along that journey. Because what happens, Stephen, is that whenever someone comes to you and decides to share something with you, two things are happening. Number one, they might just share information for you to keep it. Number two, they might share information wanting answers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it might be, Pastor, you know what? I just want to share this information with you to pray with me. I've been having problems with my job, my supervisor, it's been difficult, XYZ. Pray with me. Bam.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might be, Pastor, you know what? I'm having problem with my wife, and I really need your advice, Pastor. How do I handle this?
Mm-hmm.
Then you can ask, oh, you ask me for advice? Yes, okay. You can offer the advice. So it depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't see it as a burden, I see it as a privilege. Now, on the other hand, if someone were to come to me with the information, and in that situation, I don't have the answers for it, and and that's something that should we should know, that we don't hold the answers to everything. What
Mm-hmm.
do you do? Uh, for example, if a gentleman comes to me and say, Pastor, I want to share this with you. I really need advice on how do I relate, with my wife, or how do I relate with my dad or my mom. And if it's beyond me, usually what I do is I got spiritual leaders that I talk to. I got pastors that I look up to. You know, I'll say, well, you know what? Let me pray about it, brother. Let me seek counsel. Let me seek counsel, and I'll tell them right there. I'll say, you know what, brother Stephen, I have pastors that I look up to. They're not here in Texas. They're far off. I call them. We talk. I tell them my personal life, my ministry. Would it be okay if I can share, get advice? And I'll tell them this. I'm not going to use your name or your
Mm-hmm.
information. I'm going to change everything around. So if
Yeah,
I were to
yeah.
call my spiritual leader and say, Pastor, you know what, hey, man, I have this scenario for you, man. What are you going to do in this situation? And I will share that information with that person, not giving any personally identifiable information.
Mm-hmm.
Then get the advice from the person. Oh, okay, it makes sense. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Pastor, handle it this way. Then I'll call that person and say, you know what? I spoke with my spiritual leader and we talked about it. This is what he suggested. What do you think about it? I'll be, oh, yeah, Pastor, thank you for the information. But whoever I shared with, I do not, and I make it very clear, I do not use any personally identifiable information. So you wouldn't even know who I'm talking about. And
Mm-hmm.
usually I don't share with members or leaders. No, I share with my spiritual leader. Every pastor should have a pastor. I have pastors I look up to. My spiritual, I call them all the time. We talk about ministry. Whoever, how's life going with you? How is your family? We talk. Those are the ones that I look up to, and I ask for their counsel.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Pastor, let me just make a quick announcement and I'll be
Hmm.
right back with you, okay?
Okay, okay.
All right, family, if you are watching, we're talking about confidentiality in the church, the importance of confiding into our pastors, in our spiritual leaders, and making sure that our information is kept secret. If you want to participate, you can call in at 682-503-9906. The number is on the screen. It's scrolling. So please call in to ask your questions. These are questions that I came up with. You may have some questions that I haven't asked yet. So please call in if you are interested in participating. So I'm going to go back to our pastor to continue our conversation. Again, thank you all for watching. I appreciate the support. Please like if this is your first time following the show, or if this is your first time seeing the show. We are here on Saturdays and on Sunday. On Saturday, we are here 1 p.m. On Sunday, we are here 2 p.m. And tomorrow we'll be having a topic called "This Could Be You." We'll be interviewing ambassador from Liberia tomorrow. So please join us then. But again, let me continue the conversation. This conversation is hot, it's on fire. So let me go back to our pastor and continue. All right. So Reverend Dr.
Yes, sir.
Mayango,
Yes, sir.
this one is tough, right?
Okay.
And I think we're going to the towards the end. So I want to bring some of the harder question now.
Hmm.
Um, there are times in your ministry where
Hmm.
people have left the church
Hmm.
because either something was shared or some kind of flower was made in our community. So cereal flower was
Hmm.
made in the church. How will you encourage those people that had left a church because of issues like either confidentiality or disagreement between them and the pastor? How will you encourage those people to rejoin a community of worship or church or something? Because we have many people switching churches, and I see people jumping from church to church. How can we encourage our members or our community members to at least rejoin our community church or something because they left another church because of a problem?
Okay. Well, thank you, Brother Stephen. I think you hit it very hard. I think that's an issue. And as Christians, the Bible gives us a way how to address conflict. And I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we avoid conflict. Conflicts are inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Conflicts are part of life. It's part of life. You cannot avoid conflict. Conflict happens, at work, in our homes, everywhere. How we address the conflicts that we experienced make all the difference. So if you're out there and maybe you left a church because of some conflict, the Bible tells us that whenever there's a conflict, meet the person with whom you have the conflict. Talk to them about the situation. And I know sometimes some people are like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to leave and go because I don't want to be bothered. And I mean, that could be your choice, but that still doesn't resolve the problem because the hurt is still there, the disappointment is still there, the pain is still there. So I would encourage you to talk to the person. It could be one of the leaders in the church. It could be your pastor, whoever it is. Talk to the person and say, "This is how I feel. This is what happened to me." And the Bible says if the person doesn't listen to you, then you can call another person, get another person involved. Now, the person doesn't listen to you, you can take it to the church. That's what the scripture says. Follow those steps to help. But now, if you follow those steps and if it's not working, then you can say, well, you know what? It's not working. I'll have to leave and find a different church. But leaving the church with the hurt or with the pain or with some kind of a negative situation is not helpful for you. It's not helpful for the church. And the reason why is because you're joining a new church and that hurt and that pain is still there. That wound is still there. And you're taking that wound to a different church. All it's going to take is a trigger. In that new fellowship, someone's going to do something that will trigger your wounds and your hurt. Then you find yourself leaving and going to a different church. So it's important to heal the wound.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be hard to heal the wound, but heal the wound before you move on. It's almost like in marriage. Most time people feel like, you know what, because my wife and I would disagree, I would just leave and find another woman. That is not a solution because you carry your pain and your hurt in that different relationship. If that situation comes up, because you never handle it, you wouldn't be able to handle it in that relationship. You jump again, go to number three. So it's
Mm-hmm.
always good to face the challenge. And sometimes it can be very difficult. But face it, try to resolve it. Doesn't mean that when you resolve it, you should stay there. I can resolve it with my pastor, but if I still don't want to be there, I can say, Pastor, you know what? I appreciate our resolving the situation, but I still feel I need to move on. The pastor
Mm-hmm.
can bless you and release you. At least tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
you can see him or her, you can be on good terms. But
Yeah, yeah.
living hurtful with pain, it does not help you, it does not help the ministry. Yeah, so go back and try to resolve that and see how you can be able to get that pain and that hurt resolved. If not, no matter how you can try to think that you're doing okay, I'm doing fine, you're not doing fine. All it's going to take is a trigger, and then all those emotions will fly back.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, it's very important. I'm a counselor. I know what I'm talking about. You know, we we think sometimes that we resolve these issues, and what we have done is that we have put in our long-term memory, and all it takes to bring in our short-term memory is a trigger. Something that will happen that remind you of the event. Then you start to react. Then you realize, oh, the wound is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about it, discuss about it, and see how you can be able to handle. If the pastor never kept the information confidential, meet the pastor, talk to the pastor. Say, Pastor, you know what? I need to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like when you preach that message, the information you share was my information. Let the pastor explain to you what happened. Because I will
Mm-hmm.
tell you this, sometimes, you know, it might not even be about you.
Mm-hmm.
No, because sometimes members think that way, that, oh, they're talking about me. It's the word of God.
Mm-hmm.
If the pastor mentions your name or mentions your specific situation, that's different. If it's just a general message about, marriage or about raising children, don't take it personal. See how the word of God can apply to your life. But sometimes people misconstrue the information. Oh, the pastor is talking about me. Then if they take it personal, they get upset. Now, is it possible out there that there may be some pastors who will talk about their members to other people? Yes. I don't know them. I haven't done it. I will not do it because I know that for me as a pastor, confidentiality is at the top of one of the things that I hold dearly. I will not
Mm-hmm.
discuss any of my member situation with anyone but God.
Mm-hmm.
I keep it, you know. So yes, there might be members, there might be pastors out there who would do it, maybe mistakenly, whatever. But if that happens, if that were to happen as a member, talk to your pastor, confront your pastor, bring the information out. Say, Pastor, I share this with you, and when you shared it with this person, I didn't tell you to share with him. I'll give you an example, Stephen. Say, for example, a man were to come to me, he's married. He said, Pastor, you know what? I want to share something with you. My wife and I were going through marital problems.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor share that with you, and the member share that with you. Okay? If remember, they were told you to call the wife and ask the wife. No. So don't assume that because the person told you means you can call the wife and say, oh, hey, wife, your husband shared this with me. No. Ask the member. So, well, thank you for sharing this information with me. Do you want me to talk to your wife about this? If the member said, no, Pastor, no, forget about it. Leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it alone. So don't feel it because the member shared that with you about their wife means that you should call the wife and ask the wife what happened. No, they share with you as if they wanted you to tell you, say call him and tell him call her and ask her what happened. So that's something
Mm-hmm.
that's the misunderstanding we have. And then when the husband when the wife hears it and the wife calls the husband, so you wanted to pass our issue, it become a problem. I need to share it, Pastor. I need to share it. So ask. Stephen, I'll tell you to ask questions, seek
Mm-hmm.
clarifications about information that's given to you. Can I
Yeah,
share
yeah.
with the person? What are the limits? Very important. So you at least you know what you're getting into. Don't
Mm-hmm.
assume anything about confidentiality.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you. So you just hit on another question I was going to ask. So talking about the pastors now, we just left on the member side. Talking about the pastors, they are you pastors are held in high esteem in the community, very very high esteem, right? So what would you advise our pastors in terms of holding member secrets? Since we hold them at this top level, it's like you guys are the number one trust people that we know next to maybe Jesus or God or something like that. We hold you guys that high. So when
Mhm.
we come into yours, they say, I have a secret. That secret should be like kept forever. So what will you tell a pastor that is listening? I'm gonna hide myself on the screen because this one is on you.
Okay.
So you can
Okay.
share, talk to your fellow pastors. I'm going to put it to you that this one
Okay.
coming from a pastor to a pastor.
Okay.
Please advise fellow pastors out there what can they do to hold members secret. Um,
Well, fellow servants of God, that's part of our calling. Uh, God has called us to lead His people, and I think part of that calling is to be able to keep information confidential. I mean, I shouldn't be saying this to you. This is something that we should be able to know already. That confidentiality is high up there as one of the things that we value, that is expected of us as servants of God. So when your member comes and shares something with you, keep it confidential. If you have any questions, if you want a clarification, ask them. You know, but don't just assume that because a member shares something with you, you are at liberty to share with anyone else. No. So it's important because it's an honor for them to come to us. They could have gone out there to their friends or to a secular person, a worldly person, but they came to us and they decided to share, what's on their heart, private information. Let's keep it private. Let's keep it confidential. Even if tomorrow something were to happen, they were to leave the church and go out there, don't weaponize it. Don't say, oh, you know what? I got information about you. I will use it against you. No, that's wrong. That's evil. Keep it secret, because that's why they share that information with you. Don't share with anyone else out there. Keep it very secret, because God will hold us accountable tomorrow about how we handle people's information. But if we're out there sharing people information, whether in a sermon, in a Bible study, whatever, I think that's unethical. It's immoral. I think it's important that we learn how to keep people's information confidential. Because the more you do it, the more they're able to come. But the moment you start to share the information out there, the word will spread. A pastor is not keeping our information confidential, and no one will come to you. And as a servant of God, it is not a good thing when your members are not comfortable, when your members are not able to come to you to share what's on their heart. I mean, that trust is not there. And I think foundational to the member pastor relationship is trust. And I think trust, one of the stones in building trust is confidentiality. The moment that stone is taken out, it becomes very difficult because trust building takes time, but trust destruction can just happen. Boom. It takes a while to build trust. So if you build
Mhm.
trust with your members, keep it going. Is it easy? No. I know sometimes, as pastor, we feel hurt, we feel disappointed because people that we trusted, they leave the church and then say bad things about us. So we think that, you know what, I'll get even with them. Don't get yourself on that level. God has called you to a higher level. Maintain confidentiality. Keep that secret. Don't share it with anyone. Keep it. Take it to the grave.
Amen. Amen. So, pastors, as we come to a close, right?
Mhm.
I want to ask you this question. Sometimes, like I just said, the question said we hold you guys in high esteem, and we forget to know that pastors are humans also.
Mhm.
What resources do you have out there that you run to when you are overwhelmed by whether it's members' issues, whether it's a member that is sick, that uh, is having issues with cancer, but you as a pastor, you can't help, but you just have to pray, whether it's a member that is married and having marital issues and you want to help, but you can't help. What resources do you guys reach to? Let me just put a question simple.
Mhm.
When pastors are depressed, where do you go for help?
Mm. That's why I said from the beginning, Stephen, as pastors, we should guard against pastoring alone. This is what I mean when I say guard against pastoring alone. You should always have pastors that you look up to, pastors that you can call to pray with, pastors that you can call to cry on their shoulders. You're right. You're definitely right. Sometimes pastors, we get down, we get disappointed, we get discouraged. It's in the Bible. In the Bible, Elijah got depressed, David got depressed. You know, we're human beings. You know, so as pastors, we need to understand our limitations. We're not superhumans, and that's the mistake we make. We should learn to understand that there's some issues that we cannot resolve by ourselves. Yeah, prayer is critical, very important, but we can seek help out there. There's nothing wrong with seeking professional help. Pastors will go see your doctor if we're sick. If you're depressed, if you're anxious, talk to a professional counselor. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Get another pastor friend that you can trust. connect to organizations out there that can help you. You can connect, get together. You'll be surprised. I mean, every one of us pastors, we all go through the same problems. We all go through the same situations. Because human condition is the same. Yep. You know, we all experience the same issue with members. So we don't go there to discuss members. We go there to discuss issues that we're facing in the church, and we get advice, prayer, encouragement to keep moving. So get connected. Don't ever run this ministry alone. I'm telling you, if you want to self-destruct, try to do it alone. You will self. Even Jesus himself, our Lord and Savior, he took 12. He could do it alone, but he took 12. So it's important to surround yourself with people that can encourage you, can empower you, like-minded. Very important. So I encourage any pastor out there, know your limitations. Seek help if help needs to be sought. You know, very, very important. Don't feel like you can do all by yourself because that's when the enemy can start to trap you. Most
mm,
time ministers of the gospel who you see falling is because they try to go alone. And I
mm,
always, Brother Stephen, I always use the analogy about how animals hunt. I'm a
mhm,
big, I'm a big fan of nature. If you
mhm,
look at how animals hunt, usually when there's a bunch of wildebeest or there's a bunch of animals out there, when the lions are hunting, the lion looks for the one that is vulnerable,
mhm.
the one that is by itself.
Yeah, yeah.
The lion doesn't go among the crowd because the lion is
Mhm,
afraid that it might be trampled.
mhm,
So the lion look for the one that is separate by itself. So if you're a pastor, you will separate yourself. I know everything. I can do it myself. Ministry is for me. I can do that. I don't need anybody else to tell me anything what to do. You are
mm,
a prime target for the enemy.
mm,
So the Bible talks about how there is safety in the multitude of counsel.
mm,
I don't know everything. If I'm struggling, I'll call, hey, Pastor this, hey, man of God, I need prayer, brother. I've been down lately, man. I've been going through a lot. We signed a church project and it's been very difficult. Money is running low. Well, I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. He will pray with me, encourage me. Yeah,
mm.
so we need one another. As iron sharpens iron, so one sharpens another. Very, very
Okay.
important, brother.
Yeah, thank you for that advice, and I think it. Hopefully, if you are a pastor out there, like Reverend says here, connect with each other.
Mhm.
Let's make our community better because the more you all share ideas, the more you all unite. That will make us proud as community members that our pastors have this clique. They are together, right? The togetherness of our pastors encourage us. You know that even if I'm visiting your church, my pastor don't have to get vexed with me because I visit your church. You
Mm.
understand?
Mm.
So these kind of things that is I think from the community standpoint is the community core that we pray and wish that our pastors are so united that
Mhm.
as community members we can come to your event
Mhm.
without wearing dark goggles and stuff like that because we don't want our pastors to get
Mhm.
vexed, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but Pastor, I think we I was led by the Spirit to ask this last question. I have
Okay.
that my second to the last question here. So this
Mm.
other question I never had it written. If you look at what
Mhm.
I sent you, that one
Mhm.
I answer.
That's
But
fine,
this
brother.
one here, this
Mhm.
is about good secret.
Mhm.
Yeah, how do you tell good secret? So imagine a scenario: you're in a
Mhm.
church, you find this member sending her prayer requests every day. She's single, she's looking for somebody. Then you got one other guy in the church that come and say, Pastor, I let Sister Mary, but um, Sister Mary sent her prayer request now. You as a pastor, you can pray for her, but you can't. How do you do it? Like Sister Mary got her prayer request. She's single. She's looking for somebody, but she always praying. You always fasting for her to get somebody. Then Brother John on the other hand say, Pastor, I let Sister Mary. What do you do in that situation? That confidentiality right there, Brother John came to you confidently, and he told you that he let Sister Mary, but he didn't tell you to go tell Sister Mary. So what do you do in that situation when you know that connecting Sister John and Sister Mary will make the church to have a married couple? What do you do to help Sister Mary to answer her prayer? You know, again, don't
Bro,
blame me. I said it when I was led by the Spirit to
that's
ask the
okay,
other
man,
question.
Stevie. That's
Yeah.
okay. Uh, I try as much as possible as a
Mm,
pastor to not be a matchmaker.
mm,
I
mm,
guard
mm.
against that.
Mm,
And and people do that, and good for them. I will not criticize that process. It has worked for some people, and good for them.
Mm.
Personally, for me, the reason why I don't go in that direction because sometimes it doesn't work out. You're the bad person.
Mm.
Yeah, you're the bad person. I don't even know what pastor even connected us. So if brother X comes to me and say, brother pastor, you know what? I like that person. I will ask, well, have you prayed about it? What is God telling you about it? Okay, you're single, you're looking for someone. Go talk to her. Go and talk to her. Call and say, sister, you know what? I really, like you, and I want us to begin to pray towards a relationship. Let that person take that step in that direction so that they can own the process.
Mm.
You're going to use when you're the one who put yourself in the middle tomorrow, then everything will backfire on you. So it's
Mm.
important to just provide the resources, let him take the ownership of the decision. Let him go there. If the Mary said no, she didn't like him, ain't gonna do with you.
Mm.
Yeah, but I'll definitely encourage him. I'll pray with you, brother, but I'll encourage you, take that bold step and go talk to her. But there's
Mm.
something I wanted to also to share before you get to your next question. And they have to do with sometimes when information are shared with the pastors, whether there are limits to confidentiality, whether there are limits. I know many states out there, sometimes they have limits, to confidentiality. And I'll give an example. For example, if someone were to come and share information with you that involve abuse, as an example,
Mm. Mm.
we saw what happened in the Catholic Church. There are many bishops that went to jail because they refused to share that those priests were abusing people,
Mm.
you
Mm.
know. So I think as a pastor, be very careful, seek legal advice on this because I'm not a lawyer and I cannot speak to this, but seek legal advice. If someone comes and share something with you under the guise of being confidential and it involves some kind of an abuse or some kind of inappropriate behavior, be very careful, seek advice as to how to proceed because tomorrow anything happen, you might be called to a court to come and testify. I know some of the pastors they have legal protection in some states,
Mm. Mm.
regarding how whether they can share information. But again, just to throw that out there, so people can be very, very careful. Now, information people share with you means you keep your confidence. If they ask, seek legal advice, whether this is it does it qualify as being confidential. And I know
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me in my profession, if as a counselor, if I'm counseling someone and that process involve abuse or child of elderly or you abuse any kind of a person want to harm themselves or want to harm someone else, I have a duty to report.
Mm.
If I keep it and that person go and kill someone, they will call me in court. I could be held liable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very important that you understand that very carefully. So again, seek legal advice. Again, I'm not a lawyer, and I'll make it very clear. But if someone's sharing something with you, be very careful what you're hearing. And sometimes too, people come and share confidential information. They want to gossip.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
They want to gossip. Be careful
Yeah.
too with that too.
Yeah.
Pastor, you know what? Don't call my new. Sister did it. Why she and the person going? She doing this. Or be careful too. But just keep it
Mm.
secret. Just between you. No. Sometimes rebuke the messenger. Don't be a part of that gossip. Somebody just gossip, they're gossiping about someone else. You know.
Mm.
Yeah, so I will confront them. Like, are you sure? Can I use your name? Oh, Pastor, no, 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 come on, you. I just want to just tell you so you can for your information. No, I don't want that information. Talk to that
Mm.
sister that brought about it. So it's a big umbrella.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you brought up something, and sorry, I'm gonna add one more question
That's
here.
okay. That's okay, Rasim. I'm
Yeah,
here for
but
you.
this is serious though.
Mm-hmm.
We have situation of abuse a lot in our communities at times,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Where at times us guys think that it's okay to beat my wife, it's okay
Mm-hmm.
to abuse my wife, and I have unlimited rights to
Mm-hmm.
abuse my wife. So
Mm-hmm.
in situation where, oh, my sister calling, in situation where somebody come to you and say,
Mm-hmm.
Pastor, my husband always beating on me. My husband always beating on me. He hurt me so bad. I don't know what to do. Where do you let me, sorry, my sister calling me from
That's okay,
Liberia.
Steven. That's okay. That's all
My
right.
son, I think Steven was on his way to Liberia. So yeah, but anyway, yeah. So what do you do in that situation to prevent the person from being hurt? And also, you have this member who is doing great, but on the other side, he's hurting his family member, his spouse. What do you
Mm-hmm.
do as a pastor?
Yes, it's a very difficult situation, Stephen. Definitely, I know some pastors hold different views about it. Number one, foundational, there is no place for abuse anywhere, whether male on female, female on male, children. Period. Zero tolerance on abuse. No place. The Bible speaks against abuse. Now, if you're in the home where your spouse is abusing you, and you come and share that with me, I will ask you, I need to confront your spouse. I need to confront your spouse about this. Definitely, I need to confront your spouse about it. Uh, if you don't want the pastor to know, I don't want you to get upset. That man, then when you go and when you tell him that, then he will get upset. Then he'll be worse. I said, my dear, if you're telling me this, I need to get involved as your pastor to confront the person and resolve it. But the person that I shouldn't get involved,
Mm-hmm.
I will not get involved. I'll leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense that you're being abused. Then you don't want help. You know. I could also provide resources to them. Say, you know what, my dear, since you want me to get involved, if you ever feel your life is threatened, call 911. Call 911. You know, call 911. But again, you cannot force anyone to seek help, Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
You can't force anyone to seek help. And there are many people out there crying in silence. The husband beat them or they'll beat their wife, or the wife beat the husband. They come to church, they pour clean, they can't say like, they're all perfect, whatever it is. Say something. Seek help. It's very, very, very important. Seek help. Any form of abuse, there should be zero tolerance about it. You know, very, very important. So I think if that person comes and share that with me, I would first of all, I would ask them, are you safe? Is the environment safe for you? Do you feel threatened? Have there ever been a threat on your life? Are you a harm to yourself? Are you a harm to anyone else? No, no, Pastor. Just that when he get upset, then he'll be beating me. I said, my dear, that's unacceptable. I need to talk to that person about it. But if you don't want me to talk about it, I can't force you to talk about it. However, if you ever feel your life is threatened, call 911.
Mm-hmm.
Call
All
law
right,
enforcement.
Pastor. Thank you so much for answering all my questions. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. On behalf of the fans of Liberia Shall Rise and the ancestors of Liberia, I want to say thank you for deciding to help to carry the burden of our community, right? And I just want to ask you for any final word for the community and what is your biggest hope for our community? I will leave that with you and thank you so much for coming on the platform.
Well, thank you, Stephen, for this platform. I definitely appreciate the work you do to give out information out there to our people on a variety of topics. I think it's very, very helpful. I think it's very educational, very inspirational. Uh, my hope always is unity, that we all come together as a community and to be able to work for the benefit of our people. Whether you're a pastor, whether you're a member, I think it's important for us to come together. We don't always have to agree. No, we can disagree, but still be united. And I think it starts from us all up there as ministers of the gospel to learn to work together. And members too, you can encourage your pastors to work together, to pray for them, encourage them. It's a journey. Pastors go through a lot. Members don't know that we go through a lot. Pray for us, encourage us, be there, support us in whichever way you can. But the goal is that we'll all come together and better our community. Let's put aside all the little backbiting, negative things about one another. And let's speak positive. That's why I like you, Dr. Positive. It's important to be positive about your environment, positive about your community. God, whatever words we speak can have impact. So let's speak positive in our community, because sometimes Liberians always say negative things. Liberian will never do this, will never do that. No, we can if we come together. So let's be positive. Let's encourage one another. And most important, let's learn to be very confidential in our relationship with one another. If someone entrusts you with information, keep it private. It's a privilege, it's an honor for the person to come to you and share information with you. Don't share it out there. Keep it very, very, very private. Again, Stephen, thank you so much for the work you do. God bless you. To our community out there, God bless you all. And hopefully we can go out there and make a difference for the name of the Lord.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you coming on, and you have a blessed day. I know you got to go prepare for church. Oh, hold on, yeah, tomorrow's Sunday, so you have to definitely go prepare for church. So thank you for taking that time to come on on Liberia Shall Rise. This been going for a long time, so I'm finally happy. I can cross that off my bucket list that I finally
Anytime,
talk.
Stevie.
Yeah, talk
Anytime.
to.
Please, I told you already. Anytime you need me to come, let me know.
Definitely. Thank you
Yes.
so much. This was great. This was a great discussion. And I hope somebody benefit from this discussion. And I pray that our pastors unite in the community so that we can all hold hands and walk. When our pastor then around, we can hold other pastor hand and smile with them. And we can live a happy life in our community because our pastors are happy together. So thank you so much for coming on. You have a blessed day, Pastor.
You too, Stephen. You have a wonderful day too.
All right.
Hmm.
Folks, thank you so much for watching. This is how we like to come to an end of the show. This was Liberia Shiraz. We're talking about confidentiality in the church, what it means for the church to keep our secret, what it means for members to keep members' secrets, what it means for everybody in the church to know that when somebody tell you something, it means you should keep it a secret. And this is breaking a lot of churches apart. This is breaking a lot of families apart. So I'm happy that our pastor came here, Reverend Dr. Wilfred Manyango came here and helped us to understand what pastors go through and what members go through. So again, thank you so much. We'll be here tomorrow at 2 p.m. with This Could Be You. We'll be bringing uh, one of Liberia ambassadors on the show tomorrow, so you don't want to miss that. We're going to be hearing his story, how he got started, and where he is today, how he got where he is today. So please join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. with Dr. George and the ambassador an ambassador at large in Liberia. Again, thank you so much. You all have a wonderful day. This is Dr. Positive. Pray someday that Liberia shall rise. Let God answer my prayer that Liberia should someday rise. Have a great day.